And it's just so powerful. Psychology and human beings and our own relationship with fear and our own misunderstanding of being grown up in a world and being told that money is this when realizing it's something else.
Yeah.
It's real fundamental stuff.
Yeah, because if you look at money, money's kind of a psychotic subject. Everybody's got all these crazy ideas and beliefs, and money's the root of all evil, and only rich people are corrupt, and all these crazy ideas. It's just money. It's just a means of exchange, and people do crazy things for it. So, my favorite line that Rich Dad said, Rich Dad said, money may not be the most important thing in the world, but it affects everything that is. It affects your lifestyle, it affects your health care, it affects your level of education, it affects everything on a day-to-day basis. It affects the food you eat. So it may not be the most important thing, but it does affect everything that is important.
Yeah, that's powerful. And another thing that Robert said to me recently, he said the difference between a rich person and a poor person is fear and their relationship with fear. And I think about you with that first investment. That's you going into your fear. But 99 other people out of 100 would have not done that because of that fear.
It would have been easier not to do that deal. It would have been easier not to buy the deal, because then I wouldn't have to go through this learning curve. Then I wouldn't have to face a fear all the time of what's going to happen and how do I deal with tenants and how do I do this. And it was a lot to learn on one little tiny property. And so I think a lot of people, they don't want to be uncomfortable. They don't want to get out of their comfort zone. And the only way we grow and learn is by stretching ourselves and getting out of our comfort zone, even by a little bit. Emerson said, this is not the exact quote, but something to the effect of, if you're not facing something you fear every day, you don't understand the secret of life. Because that's where growth and transformation happens.
Yeah.
So, and I hate making mistakes just like everybody else. I hate failing, but that's where we learn the most. If we can take the lesson of the failure and take the lesson of the mistake and learn from it, then we get much smarter.
That I need to do as an entrepreneur, which is to take risks, income follows assets, like all of these, because it's a mindset.
It is. And they say like 50% of businesses fail. And I think what happens for a lot of first-time business owners, they're coming out of a job. So they're coming out of an employee mindset. And I know this one guy, for example, in Phoenix, Arizona, and he decided he was going to start his own business. And he had been an employee all his life. So what's the first thing he does? He goes and rents a nice office space. Then he buys all the nice furniture. Then he gets a secretary. He hasn't made not $1. And he spends all this because he thinks that's what an entrepreneur looks like. First is, go make the money first, then go rent your office. If you even need an office, start out of your home. We all started, all the entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs I know, all started out of their home.
Yeah, we did too here at London Real.
Cash Flow board game was created on our dining room table. Nice. Rich Dad, Poor Dad was written in our house.
So, one of the keys that we is when you're starting in investing, when you're starting any type of investment, even when you're starting a business, start small. And the reason you're going to start small is because there's a ton of learning. There's a ton of learning to be done. But if you don't take the time and don't get the education, then chances are, if you don't start small, if you start with a big deal, chances are you're going to make a ton of mistakes and you're going to lose that money.
When people jump right away for the big deals, they make that kind of mistakes. But sometimes when they go from small, they start taking higher and higher steps. Inside the small deals, they make money.
Yes.
Then after they make, some cash, 10, 20, 30,000, they can start moving into the big deals and take that experience they learn from the small deals into the big deals.
Right. So for example, when I started investing in 1989, I started with a little 2-bedroom, 1-bath house. Our good friend and partner, Kenny McElroy, started with a little tiny condo. Robert started with a condo in Maui. We started small, we learn, we make mistakes, and then you move on to the next deal and the next deal and the next deal. Is that you don't want to go for the big deal first, because there's 2 things you can invest. You can invest time and you can invest money. And what happens for a lot of people is they don't want to take the time, they don't want to learn, they don't want to get their education in whatever it is they're going to invest in. No, they're going to take a stock tip from the cashier at the grocery store, or their relative or their in-laws call and say, oh, I got this great deal, you should come in on it, without any education. So do not invest your money first, invest time in the education. So the key is, in the small deal and big deal, is to start where?
Just start small, get the practice, get experience, test how much you can invest, how much money you could put in, how your emotions feel when you're doing that, and then when you have that experience, move into the big deals.
It's the same with business.
So I think that employee mindset, and if you are an employee, and if you are an employee, if you can get that entrepreneurial mindset even as an employee, oh my gosh, you're going to be so much more valuable to the owner of your company because you're going to think the way they think. I think that's really, really important.
Yeah.
So
it totally is. It's taught me so much just being involved in this venture.
Yeah.
Because you have to face your fears, you have to face your nonsense, and also an entrepreneur doesn't exist unless you take risks.
Exactly.
So you won't be here a year from now unless you're taking risks, sometimes big risks.
Yes.
So you have to get into that process too, of constantly doing that and then failing and adjusting and winning. But what a great way to develop yourself personally, to live potentially an intense and incredible life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I came across a study, and it was a study of centenarians, people that had lived over 100, and they wanted to find what were the common denominators, and they found 3. And one was they had a sense of purpose. It didn't matter how big or small, but they had a sense of purpose. Number 2, they were optimistic. And number 3 was resiliency, how well you come back from a setback. When you hit that wall, do you fall down? Do you get up? Do you go through it? And I'm like, those seem like the three characteristics of a good entrepreneur to me. Sense of purpose, optimistic, and resilient. If you're not resilient and you can't persevere, do not become an entrepreneur. Do not do it. You're just going to be. It'll be a exercise in futility.
Is it not for everyone?
It's not for everyone.
Right.
In real life, there's no quick fix. There's no magic pill. You've got to put in the time, you've got to put in the effort. You start small, you take baby steps. Anytime Robert and I are going to learn something new, we start small. So for example, if Robert and I want to learn about a new investment product, we'll either go buy a book, we'll go talk to somebody who's doing it, we'll go attend a seminar to learn about it. We want to get as much experience as possible, as much knowledge and education as possible before we part with our money. Because you work really, really hard for that money. So you want that money working hard for you. So remember, start with a small deal, get the experience, get the education, work up to the big deals so that you can go from the rat race to the fast track.